Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the prelim fights for UFC on ESPN, Smith versus Teixeira. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card and our first prelim fight. So in our first fight, we have in the heavyweight division, Sherman versus Isaac Villanueva. So with this fight, one of these guys is clearly lying about a lot of things. Lying, putting up a front, not being honest about things. And who I'm talking about is Isaac Villanueva. So this guy's supposed to be 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", 6 meters tall, but he's clearly not. He fought Trevin Gals 3 years ago, who's 6 feet tall, and he was like clearly shorter than him. I'm not saying he was like 5'5" shorter than him, but like 5'10", 5'11" shorter than 6 feet, and maybe even 5'9" and a half shorter than the 6 feet guy, because it was clear that he was shorter than him. Maybe he had a little bit of back injuries or something that made him a little bit lower, so he was still probably 5'11", but at best, the guy is 6 feet with shoes on, at best. He's not 6'2" at all. So he's clearly lying about his height. And really with that, as far as his career, he's kind of big, like he carries a lot of, like he looks very chunky at light heavyweight, so he's not the biggest guy, he's not very muscular, so not only is he shorter than he advertised, he's not a very big guy at all. To be, at 205 and carry around a fat gut and supposed to be 6 feet, 6'2", or even 5'11", that shows you don't got very many muscles, maybe missing an ass or something, missing some legs, but this guy, to be 5'11", or 6 feet, even, and really, if he was 6'2" and to be carrying that gut around to make light heavyweight, I don't know, whatever the case is, this guy is not as big as he's supposed to be, and he's chunky at his weight. At middleweight, that was probably his better weight, and I'm not saying he's a bad fighter, I'm just going off the lies, so at middleweight, he was pretty decent. I'm not saying, but was he really UFC caliber? No, but he does have a style and some skills that can cause a lot of people issues, especially they aren't fully sound in their game. He can definitely tag a lot of people. That's why he's been, beating some of these little UFC rejects up outside the UFC and been finishing them because he has power, he has some fast hands, but he's definitely not as big as he said he is. His skill's not really that great. He's solid enough. He's not like some scrub, but he's not really a true talent, or at least of that caliber of a talent for UFC. And that's why he's kind of took the route he took in his career, just to kind of beat up journeymen and beat up guys that weren't good enough and just collect a paycheck and just let himself go a little bit. But then the UFC gave him a call because of the pandemic, so he stepped in. So he just took that opportunity and stepped in on short notice because the UFC wanted to fill out a card. But to get to the point of this prediction right here, I think Isaac, I'm not going to say the last name, I'm stuttering on that name. Let me try it again. Villanueva, Isaac Villanueva. I think he's a solid fighter and all, or he's decent and all that. Got some fast hands, got some good power, but he's a little bit too small. And the opponents he really beat just didn't have the best striking defense, so he could just walk in on them. Sherman don't have the best defense either, but his height will help him. He's actually 6'4", so he'll be at least 5 inches taller than Villanueva. He has some good teep kicks. He has some good range control strikes. Yes, his chin stays up, but outside of that, he has some pretty good defense as far as that. But head movement trash, that's where Sherman is kind of bad at. But I think with that height, and with his selection of strikes, he should be able to, if he fights any bit smart, he should be able to beat Villanueva pretty clean. It might even be able to stop him. So I think with Sherman's height, his reach, some of that little bit of boxing he did, that little bare knuckle boxing he did, be able to stick a jab on the shoulder of Villanueva, keep him from getting on the inside and truly landing any power, and just really pick him apart from distance. I still see this as a competitive fight because Sherman is not the best fighter himself, but I think with his height, his frame, and just his experience, that he should be able to pull out a victory over Villanueva, and I think he stops him late in the third. So in this fight, I got Sherman via third round TKO. Now to our next fight we have in the bantamweight division, Hunter Azure versus Brian Kelleher. Well, this one right here, this is another fight. This is a fight where Brian Kelleher is the better striker. He's the more experienced fighter. He has some solid grappling. But I think it's going to come down to this Hunter Azure, just being that talent that he is. He's not like super big or nothing, but he's very strong, good size for the weight class, packs a mean punch, a lot of power, a lot of strength, a lot of durability. I think the fight where it's really going to come down to Azure's talent winning this fight from. I think Kelleher has submission skill, but I think Azure been that 2 or 3 time state champion, and how gritty he is. And last fight he did get out wrestled as far as the takedown and point score, but you really can't do much with him. He's a very strong guy. You get good clean takedowns on him, but you can't hold him down. It's like he's very tough, and I think now in this fight he will be clearly the better wrestler in this fight. I think with these fighters right like him, every fight they get tremendously better. Now I'm predicting him to get significantly better from his last fight. So he's already strong. He already had his power. He already has that wrestling. I expect his grappling to be better. I expect him to set up his shots better. And I think him better to set up that punch better. I think it's really gonna be a fight where Kelleher's gonna be more technical, but Azure, just like in the last fight, he was the guy. His last one was more technical than him, put the game together a little bit better. But Azure landing those power shots and landing it consistently in that work rate, I think that's what's gonna come down. He's gonna have takedowns, he's gonna land power, and he's gonna be the more active fighter out there, and that's gonna overshadow Kelleher's technique and experience in the fight, competitive fight. But I think Azure's power shots and his wrestling control is gonna win him the decision. So in this fight, I got Hunter Azure via decision. Now on to our next fight we have in the lightweight division, Gabriel Benitez versus Omar Morales. So he got some other names in there. He got like Omar Antonio Morales Ferreira, but I'm just going to call him Omar Morales. I think that's what the UFC calls him. I think what people just do it for short. So he is Omar Morales. So how I see this fight right here, Benitez is coming up from 145 to 155. Omar is a bigger lightweight. He really could be a welterweight. So what I see with this fight right here, Gabriel Benitez, he's a good, well-rounded fighter, but more so he's just a striker. He's not really the guy that's gonna go out there and be offensive with his wrestling or really jiu-jitsu or doing nothing. He's a striker for the most part. He's solid in those other areas, but not really much of a threat in those other areas. That's what I'm trying to say. And whereas I see Omar Morales, he's a threat in those areas. Like he's a good wrestler, good control, very strong, very big, and has some decent striking. I think with his style, he's not gonna go out there and really engage Benitez in the fight that Benitez would favor Benitez, where it's gonna be like a lot of fire and few like fire back and forth, or where both people are truly engaging in just the striking, or really the focus is purely on the striking. I think Omar Morales is gonna use his side, use his wrestling, and use all his skills to beat like Benitez, mixing it up, make Benitez have to worry about multiple different threats, and never really using his height and reach and range and size, all those factors against Benitez. I think Benitez gonna put on a good performance, or like he'll put up a good effort and make Morales have to work for it. But I think basically Morales' size, his work rate, and mixing up his being pretty much the more well-rounded fighter, the more solid fighter, the more fighter dangerous in more areas and presenting more threats is going to overshadow Benitez really just being trying to defend the takedown and his strike. So the takedown, whether he's getting him or not, holding his cage, it's all going to count to his work rate, going to count to his forward pressure when he is going forward with it. Unless he chooses, like, I think at times he's going to choose to fight on the outside. I don't think he's really going to choose to mix it in the middle with, or in pure boxing range with Benitez, like on the inside, because that's what's going to favor Benitez, the faster-handed fighter. So he's going to fight on the outside, mix in wrestling when he needs to. That's the only time he'll be pressuring to get those shots, score those points. And like I said, I think it's going to be another type of decision fight. Might turn out fun. If it does turn out fun, it's more so be Benitez than Morales, but I think Morales is going to fight a fight that he needs to win. That's about it. So pretty much the full game is going to win Morales to fight. So in this fight, I got Omar Morales via decision. Now on to our next fight we have in the women's bantamweight division, Sijara Eubanks versus Sarah Moras. So in this fight right here, I see Sijara Eubanks is the better fighter everywhere. I think really the only area where Moras might thrive in this fight are Moras. I don't know how you really say her name, but I'm not going to worry about that. But the only way I see Sarah in this fight really having an edge is maybe the fight goes longer. Like if Eubanks burns herself out or turns this into a dog fight somehow, or it could become a dog fight. I see Moras being able to be stronger when you really had to dig into that gas tank. That's where Eubanks struggles. She struggles when she has to dig into the gas tank. If her gas tank was on point and she had control on that, she would be probably top five, and whether it be 135 or 125. She already probably would be 125 top five. But at 135, she hasn't earned that spot yet. So if she had that gas tank more on point and her cardio, I guess, control of her tank a little bit, or whatever the word I'm trying to say for that, how she spins it, control of that, how she uses that, how she understands that with her own self, she would probably be top five because she has all the skills. She has some good striking. She has some good head kicks, good power, good control. I think she's the bigger fighter despite Moras being the 135 longer. Moras really carries a lot of fat around her, whereas Eubanks is really just a solid muscle, stronger fighter. I think she's a much better striker. I think she's a stronger fighter, and I think she's a better grappler. I think her top control can really neutralize Moras on the ground a lot. I think she could pick her apart on the feet. So I think she could pick her apart either way. I mean, on the feet or on the ground. And I think how this fight plays out is that she picks her apart on the feet more so than the ground. Doesn't try to burn herself out too much, but mixing some takedowns here and there just to seal the rounds. Maybe like pick her apart early. Then when Moras tries to fire back and get aggressive, she shoots in on some shots and get some control to seal the rounds out. And I think she fights more. She doesn't try to go for the finish as much in this fight unless it's on the feet and when she really catches Moras. But I think more so this is going to be a decision fight where Eubanks knew the mistake she made in her last fight, trying to go for the finish too hard early on and burn herself out for the later parts of that fight. It just fights a smart fight where she can keep that pace throughout the fight and win a decision. So in this fight, I got Sijara Eubanks via decision. Now to our co-prelim headliner we have in the lightweight division, Michael Johnson versus Thiago Moises. So this is looking like a typical Michael Johnson fight, a fight where he's the better striker, he's the faster fighter, maybe he's the more talented fighter, or he should be the more talented fighter, but does it really matter? Not really. He's going against Thiago Moises, who's no slouch in the striking department, but we know where he'll present the biggest threat to Michael Johnson that is on the ground. If he's able to get a takedown on Michael Johnson, he could dominate him. Like Michael Johnson lets just about anybody that gets him down destroy him. So no big impressive feat that Khabib was able to destroy him on the ground. People size that up, but who hasn't done that to Michael Johnson? We've been seeing Michael Johnson get destroyed by literally everybody else worse than what Khabib did to him. But yeah, let's stop the Khabib slander. But pretty much the floor is lava, and Michael Johnson's got to stay off the floor. This is the fight where I see this kind of helping. I mean, this fight kind of, or the style of Moises kind of helping Michael Johnson in a way that Moises doesn't have the best hands. I'm saying the best punches, what I'm trying to say. He has some decent kicks. His hands aren't the worst, but I think Michael Johnson has seen much better striking, has seen much, combination between the hands to the takedown attempt. So I think with how Moises fights, he kind of fights far out anyway. So that allows Michael Johnson to beat him to the punch, being the longer fighter, the faster fighter, beat him to the punch. And Moises, not going to allow Moises the best chance to level change. But I can see Moises could time a leg kick perfectly, or Michael Johnson gets lax out there like he does at times, and people could just shoot these ugly takedowns and get shots. I mean, shoot these ugly shots and secure takedowns on them. And you got to kind of worry about Michael Johnson. Anytime this fight hits the floor, it could be over. But like I said, I don't think Moises has the best hand. I don't think he mixes his takedowns in with his punches that well. I think Michael Johnson at that point in his career, every time he gets kind of to this point where he needs a win or needs to get back some steam, he always finds a way to get it back. He'll lose a couple fights, even fights he shouldn't lose, but then when he needs that win, he always finds a way to get that win. I think in this fight, like I said, Moises doesn't have the best mixture, the best chain wrestling, or the chain, comboing off his punching and striking to wrestling, or grappling. I think Michael Johnson will be able to beat him to punch, be able to stuff his takedowns for the most part, at least to win two, if not all three rounds. I think Michael Johnson beats him to the punch, beats him to the strike, and just uses his footwork and his chews up Moises on the feet. Probably not the most impressive performance, but a win nonetheless that Michael Johnson needs. So in this fight, I have Michael Johnson via decision. Now to our prelim headliner we have in the heavyweight division, Andre Arlovski versus Felipe Lins. So look at this fight right here. At first I was just going to just chop it off to momentum and just say, Felipe Lins is going to win. So Lins is going to win. That's how I was going to say. Just purely off the fact that Arlovski's old. His time is definitely gone. If it's even still around, he's closer to the door than he is to being at his glory. But looking at Felipe Lins fights, he's kind of nothing really amazing about him. He has some decent jiu-jitsu, no amazing offense with his, no amazing takedowns to get to his jiu-jitsu, but he's not no slouch off his back or on top. But as far as getting to his jiu-jitsu, he's not a guy that's going to have such these blast double legs. And it's not like Arlovski's a slouch on the ground either. So I don't see Felipe Lins has such amazing grappling to put him on the ground or control him on the ground or have very much success on the ground. So I'm not going to factor in that too much. He has some good submissions. Maybe he hurts Arlovski, catches him, he could put him in submission. But other than that, I'm not really even thinking about submissions in this fight or grappling in this fight for the most part. Matter of fact, Arlovski might be able to get some takedowns on Lins and control him. But I'm not going to factor at all too much in this fight. I think, like I said, Arlovski can actually even get the advantage over him. They're both, nobody's rocking. They're both there. They're both there mentally. Nobody's brain scrambled. I think Arlovski might even be able to beat him in the grappling, to be honest. Just off top control and landing ground and pound. From looking at Felipe Lins, his striking doesn't look that amazing. He got a starter pack overhand. Not no Roy Nelson overhand, not no Chuck Liddell overhand, not no Johnny Hendricks overhand, but a starter pack when you get in the UFC games. He doesn't duck down too much with it. It doesn't it's not very fast. It can work. I mean, it's effective. It's not a one-punch knockout punch. It's really nothing special about it. It's a punch. If it lands clean, it could definitely cause some damage, but it's not a punch you're all that worried about. Especially if you have a good striking. And also, Lins isn't that big. He's 6'2", that's a good height, but Arlovski's 6'4", 6'5", and the overhand, the way he throws it, it's not going to cover that much distance. Really, Arlovski just can't be lax at it. It's overhand, you only get caught if you're being sloppy or you just have poor striking defense. And Arlovski's striking defense isn't the best, but it's definitely at least heavyweight caliber on the better standard of heavyweight caliber. I'm not saying it's super good standards, but as far as with the heavyweight's current standard, it's good enough that I think he can avoid that shot pretty well. And that's really about the only punch he throws. He might throw a few combinations here and there, every 2 rounds he might throw a combination, but he more so just steps back the overhand, step forward the overhand, a little leg. He really don't got a very high arsenal, and he's not the bigger fighter. He's not the fast fighter. He's open to blitz. And I think a lot of stuff that Arlovski does well. He could mix in blitz here and there. I think Felipe Lins' counter ability isn't the best, so I feel like Arlovski would mix up with him. I feel like Arlovski wanted a real easy fight. He just fire high kicks because Lens keep his hands down pretty low. And all he got is the overhand. So even if you mistime the head kick, it's still going to catch his arm. It might even break his arm because he just keeps it low. He's not in a position to really block head kicks the best. And I think Arlovski has some pretty good head kicks when he wants to. Can he fire them consistently? Probably not, but mix them in there. And he catch him with the right hand a lot, mix in flurries. And I said, the real easy way is he can just teep kick him off and keep him at distance, throw a jab here and there, head kick. And really, Lens could probably get maybe 1 or 2, 3 good punches in the whole fight if he just did that. And I don't think he had much success with that. But I think Arlovski's still going to make it a kind of competitive fight. But I just think Arlovski is just a better boxer, a better striker, and presents more skills, even though he's older and definitely past his heyday. I just think he's a better fighter between him and Lens. And Lens has spent like a year outside, and he won $1 million tournament, but that competition didn't have the best fighter. It had a bunch of UFC rejects, and he beat them. And he wasn't even that impressive beating these rejects. They got beat worse in the UFC by literally every person they fought in the UFC, and he beat them, took them to like the 4th and 3rd round to beat these bums. So unless he took that $1 million and really was training over the years, but he was injured for like a year. So I don't know if he really had a chance to improve. Maybe he took some tape. Maybe he spent that $1 million on some computer chip that's going to give him the ultimate striking sim or something. But either way, I don't see him really improving that much, especially being injured and especially not being active for that like a whole year now coming back. It's actually probably been longer than a year. But either way, I wasn't that impressed by Lens. And I think Arlovski's just a better sounder fighter, and he's going to play on the strike, and I think Arlovski's a much better striker. And as far as, there's always a puncher's chance, and Arlovski does got a questionable chin, but he really hasn't been getting knocked out by too many people except the really, truly heavy hitter. I think in the past couple years, he's been knocked out by Overeem, who hits freakishly hard, and Ngannou, who hits like a freaking monster, and he got caught by Rosenstruck's patting the punch. Rosenstruck hit hard. So he's been eating a lot of good punches over the year. And matter of fact, I think for an actual solid prospect, I'm thinking like Sakara and somebody else. I think he actually beat Sakara, but they gave it to Sakara. But on the way, he's been looking better than a lot of people give him credit these patches. And he need to piece up Ben Rothwell and put on the striking clint. So I'm getting off top, by the way. I just feel like this is going to be a striking match, and Arlovski's the better striker. That's all I'm really saying. And Lens can't really take it to the other area or have success in that other area if he needs to have it in fight. So in this fight, I got Andrei Arlovski via decision. And that concludes my fight prediction for the prelims of UFC on ESPN, Smith versus Teixeira. And as always, thanks for watching.